Blox Fruits. If you've spent any serious amount of time on Roblox, there's a very good chance you've heard of Blox Fruits. The game was released in 2019 and was heavily inspired by the anime One Piece. The basic idea was simple: explore a massive world, fight enemies, level up, collect powerful fruits, and eventually become ridiculously overpowered. And somehow, that simple formula became one of Roblox's biggest success stories. Blox Fruits constantly expanded with new islands, bosses, fighting styles, weapons, fruits, and entire areas to explore. One of the biggest reasons it became so legendary was progression. You could start as a completely useless beginner, then spend hundreds of hours grinding until your character became insanely powerful. The game also created a massive trading economy around its fruits and items. At its peak, Blox Fruits became one of the most played games on Roblox, regularly attracting hundreds of thousands of concurrent players. For many Roblox players, Blox Fruits wasn't just a game. It was the game you spent months grinding, and its enormous community helped turn it into one of Roblox's defining games of the 2020s. 2. The strongest battlegrounds. The strongest battlegrounds took a completely different approach. Instead of making players grind for hundreds of hours, it basically said, what if we just let everyone fight each other? Released in 2022, the game was inspired heavily by One Punch Man, particularly the character Saitama. Players enter an arena, choose a fighting style, and immediately start beating the living hell out of each other. And despite the simplicity, the combat became incredibly popular. The game focuses heavily on combos, movement, blocking, dodging, and timing. As players got better, fights started looking less like normal Roblox combat and more like actual anime battles. The game's animations were also a huge part of its identity. Massive punches, explosions, ultimates, knockbacks, and absurd destruction made every fight extremely satisfying to watch. But what really made the strongest battlegrounds legendary was its accessibility. You didn't need to spend 100 hours grinding. You didn't need rare items. You could join a server and start fighting immediately. That combination of simple gameplay, surprisingly deep combat, and incredibly flashy animations turned TSB into one of Roblox's biggest fighting games. 3. Natural disaster survival. Long before Roblox had massive anime games and enormous roleplay experiences, there was natural disaster survival. Released in 2008 by Stickmaster Luke, it became one of the classic games of early Roblox. And the concept couldn't be simpler. You spawn on a map, a disaster happens, and your only objective is don't die. Tornadoes, earthquakes, floods, meteors, lightning, and other disasters would randomly appear, forcing players to figure out how to survive. What made the game special was that it didn't need complicated progression systems. There weren't hundreds of weapons. There wasn't some massive skill tree. There wasn't even a complicated objective. It was just chaos. And because everyone had the same goal, every round could turn into something completely ridiculous. You might be hiding inside a building when suddenly an earthquake destroys it. Or you could be celebrating your survival when a random meteor comes flying directly toward you. Natural disaster survival became one of those games that almost every longtime Roblox player eventually experienced. And that's why it's legendary. It represents the classic Roblox era, when incredibly simple ideas could become some of the platform's most memorable experiences. 4. Adopt Me. If Blox Fruits represents Roblox's grinding era, Adopt Me represents the era when Roblox became absolutely massive with younger players. Originally released in 2017, Adopt Me started as a fairly simple roleplay game where players could adopt and raise virtual babies. But the developers eventually introduced something that completely transformed the game: pets. Players could collect, trade, raise, and customize pets, turning Adopt Me into an enormous virtual economy. Suddenly, people weren't just playing the game, they were trading, and some pets became incredibly valuable. The game introduced rarities, limited-time pets, eggs, events, and increasingly elaborate worlds. This created a trading economy that was so huge that Adopt Me became one of the biggest games Roblox had ever seen. In 2020, the game famously became the first Roblox experience to surpass 1 billion visits. It also became one of the first games to show just how commercially powerful Roblox could be. Adopt Me proved that Roblox games didn't have to be about fighting or competition. A game about collecting cute pets could become a global phenomenon. 5. Jailbreak. Before games like Blox Fruits dominated Roblox, there was Jailbreak. Created by Batamo and released in 2017, Jailbreak became one of the defining games of the late 2010s Roblox era. The concept was basically a Roblox version of Cops and Robbers. You could play as a prisoner trying to escape jail, or become a police officer trying to stop criminals. But Jailbreak went way beyond that. Players could steal cars, rob banks, rob jewelry stores, buy apartments, collect weapons, and explore a huge open world. The game also became famous for its vehicles. Cars, helicopters, planes, and other vehicles gave players an incredible amount of freedom. And perhaps most importantly, Jailbreak was constantly updated. New cars, locations, weapons, events, and mechanics kept bringing players back. It became one of the first Roblox games to feel like a genuine open-world multiplayer game. And its success helped prove that Roblox wasn't limited to tiny mini-games. A Roblox developer could build something that felt like an actual full-scale video game. For an entire generation of players, Jailbreak was Roblox. 8. Doors. And finally, we have Doors. Released in 2022 by LSplash, Doors became one of the biggest Roblox horror games ever created. The premise is simple. You're trapped inside a mysterious hotel, and you have to make your way through hundreds of doors while trying to survive increasingly terrifying creatures. But what made Doors stand out was its presentation. The game looked and sounded far more polished than what many people expected from Roblox. Lighting, sound design, animations, environments, and monster designs all work together to create genuine tension. And unlike many horror games where you simply run away from something, Doors introduced different monsters with different mechanics. You had to learn what each creature did. You had to listen for sounds, you had to hide at the right time, and sometimes you had absolutely no idea what was coming next. Doors also became massive on YouTube, where creators reacted to the game's jump scares, secrets, monsters, and lore. It showed that Roblox could create experiences that weren't just entertaining. They could actually be atmospheric and terrifying. And that's what makes Doors one of the most memorable Roblox games of its generation.